integrate our economies. Young Nigerian engineers should be able to work in Johannesburg, Gaborone, Windhoek, Harare, Cairo, and Accra, not as foreigners, but as Africans contributing to Africa. South African entrepreneurs should be able to set up in Lagos without suspicion, but with support as partner in the shared future. We must harmonize trade policies, align visa regimes, and build continental infrastructure that connects our people. We actually do not need a visa. We don't need a visa between South Africa and Nigeria. In the same way, we don't need a visa for our people to travel in their own continent. We are one. Both South Africa and Nigeria know the pain of colonialism. Both have faced internal divisions. Both have enjoyed the pressures of global imperialism that seeks to divide and exploit and control us. Both know that the only path forward is Pan-African solidarity. We must reject the illusion that our salvation will come from Washington, London, Brussels, or Beijing. Our salvation lies here in Lagos and Johannesburg, in Abuja and Pretoria, in the hands of Africans who refuse to be divided. Together, Nigeria and South Africa can lead African continent free trade area not as a paper agreement, but as a living reality that changes the lives of ordinary people. Together, we can demand fair trade, protect our industries, and invest in education, technology, innovation. Together, we can prove that Africa is not a begging bowl, but a continent of giants. We must prove to the whole world that we are not xenophobic, we love one another. Black people are not loved in Africa. Continental infrastructure that connects our people. We actually do not need a visa. We don't need a visa between South Africa and Nigeria. In the same way, we don't need a visa for our people to travel in their own continent. We are one. Both South Africa and Nigeria know the pain of colonialism. Both have faced internal divisions. Both have enjoyed the pressures of global imperialism that seeks to divide and exploit and control us. Both know that the only path forward is Pan-African solidarity. We must reject the illusion that our salvation will come from Washington, London, Brussels, or Beijing. Our salvation lies here in Lagos and Johannesburg, in Abuja and Pretoria, in the hands of Africans who refuse to be divided. Together, Nigeria and South Africa can lead African continent free trade area not as a paper agreement, but as a living reality that changes the lives of ordinary people. Together, we can demand fair trade, protect our industries, and invest in education, technology, innovation. Together, we can prove that Africa is not a begging bowl, but a continent of giants. We must prove to the whole world that we are not xenophobic, we love one another. Black people are not loved in Africa and are not loved outside Africa. We have a duty to love ourselves and show the whole world on how it must treat us. We cannot treat each other badly and expect other people to treat us much better. How you treat your own brother and your own sister, it's how you teach others outside how they must treat you. The unity of our continent is paramount, and we must never associate with any xenophobic agenda that perpetuates the divisions in South Africa. Solidarity is what we need for each other. Nigerian music, filmmakers, writers influence South African culture, just as South African universities and industries provide platforms for Nigerian talent. But this cooperation has been uneven and at times marked by suspicion and the painful experience of xenophobia. Let me be unequivocal here. Xenophobia is a betrayal of African unity. It is a sickness born of poverty, inequality, and government failure. But its victims are our African brothers and sisters, Nigerians, Zimbabweans, Congolese, and Somalis are not the cause of the South Africa's unemployment crisis. The cause lies in the untransformed economy of South Africa, which remains in the hands of white minority and multinational corporations who continue to exploit labor while refusing to industrialize. Attacking fellow Africans diverts anger from the real enemy, and we must educate our people that unity, not division, is the solution to the African crisis. If I stand before you today in Nigeria, in Enugu State, a country that holds a special place in the hearts of all South Africans who understand history, who value solidarity, who appreciate the sacrifice made by others in the cause of our freedom. Nigeria is not just another African country to us. It is a comrade nation, one that stood firmly by our side during our darkest hour. When South Africa was shackled by apartheid, when our people were murdered, imprisoned, and denied basic humanity, Nigeria rose as a giant for justice, placing South Africa squarely at the center of its foreign policy. Former President Murtala Mohammed famously declared that Africa had come of age, that the continent will no longer tolerate interference from outside powers, and this still rings true today. Nigeria set up the Southern African Relief Fund, mobilizing its citizens to contribute to the liberation struggle. Even as it faced its own challenges at home, these initiatives raised millions of dollars to support the liberation of South Africa. People paid directly from their salaries to contribute to the liberation of the people of South Africa. Nigerian students sacrificed a portion of their income through the Mandela Tax, which supported an educational training program for black South Africans, and successive Nigerian governments never stopped in their material and moral support for South Africa's liberation. In fact, Nigerian government boycotted the 1976 Olympic Games and the 1979 Commonwealth Games in protest and in opposition to apartheid government. We cannot forget all those who stood by us during difficult times. Nor can we forget that when Nelson Mandela was released from prison in 1990, one of his earliest international visits was to Lagos and Abuja to personally thank the Nigerian people. This gesture, a foundation of a bond sealed in blood and sacrifice. However, this history must not remain in the past. This bond between South Africa and Nigeria must be carried forward into the present, not just in political sentiment, but in concrete economic collaboration. Both our nations stand as giants of the continent. South Africa, with its industrial base, mining capacity, and advanced financial system. Nigeria, with its vast population, vibrant entrepreneurial spirit, oil and gas resources. We must never allow the imperialist forces to divide us in order to take our minerals from us. We demand one Africa. We demand borderless Africa. We demand Africa with one president, with one currency, with one military command, with one parliament, because we know the currency of Africa will be much more stronger against the American currency. We don't care what Trump thinks of us. He will never choose a policy position for Africans. We are not subject of Trump. We must refuse to be subjects of Trump. We must stand together as the world changes and show the world that Africa is one and Africa is equal to all nations, to China, to Russia, to America. We are not just a small nation. We are a big nation. We are not a dark continent. How can we be dark when we've got diamond that is shining amongst us? We are a shining nation. I thank you. We don't want alcohol advertised in South Africa because they advertise alcohol through the means that is not a true reflection of alcohol. Why are you not advertising alcohol with drunkards and show people what alcohol will do to them? It cannot be that alcohol is advertised only with beautiful people at the beach. It must be a true reflection of what this will do to you. We have done the same before by banning the advertisement of cigarette in South Africa, and what is to follow is alcohol. The EFF is also engaged in many other programs that seeks to empower our.
So whether you like him or not, the leader of economic freedom fighters, EFF, Julius Malema from South Africa, delivered powerful punchlines yesterday at the Nigerian Bar Association conference in Enugu State, southeastern part of the country. He said xenophobia is poverty. Nigeria is not the cause of South Africa unemployment. Africa needs one president, one currency. We need a borderless Africa. We don't want alcohol to be in South Africa. If you want alcohol to be in South Africa, you will need to advertise that with drunkards. You know, the man said a lot of things, because if you look at uninformed Nzanzis, that's the word I can use, those that are not well informed, they say Nigeria is their problem. I understand that a lot of Nigerians are in South Africa, and the narrative all over the media, all over the place, that many Nigerians in South Africa, they are doing drugs. But if there are not people taking those drugs, the business won't thrive. The business is thriving because South Africans take them. They are the ones patronizing them, and that's why it's booming. If they stop taking that, tell me who will buy that? Yes, I know a lot of cases where so many Nigerians, have been, arrested and imprisoned or facing trial for, selling of, contraband, substances that are banned. But this business is thriving because the people there are the real merchants of these substances. Nigeria have contributed so much to South Africa. When you bring it up, they will shout you down. Nigeria contributed. Malema himself is South African, and this man has information. He said Nigeria, even Nigerian students contributed when South Africans were in their darkest time during apartheid. Nigeria helped them, funded them, helped them in various ways. When Nelson Mandela was arrested, Nigeria kicked against it. A thank you visit that Nelson Mandela made when he came out of prison. He visited Nigeria, Lagos and Abuja. This man has a lot he has revealed. We don't need visa to enter South Africa, and we don't need South Africa don't need visa to come to Nigeria. Have you ever heard of European visa? Schengen visa is what they call it. 28 or more than 28 countries in Europe. Once you have visa to France, you as well have visa to Malta, to Turkey, to all the neighboring European countries. To Germany, to Spain. Schengen visa is what it's called. Why can't we have it in Africa? We are just here manifesting hate towards another. We are even developing. There is no country in Africa that we can say this country is fully developed. Even the South Africa is not even fully developed. We are trying to catch up, and yet we are envying ourselves. Julius Malema delivered punchline, and that's why many fixed mindset people that have fixed mindset in South Africa don't like him. But those that have growth mindset, development mindset, innovative mindset, they love his ideologies. So we don't need visa to enter South Africa. South Africa don't need visa to come to Nigeria. We need to do businesses together without any fear of your businesses being taken. That we have a lot of cases. We have evidences of Nigerian businesses out of xenophobic attacks, being attacked, their businesses destroyed and all of that, and with wrong accusations. That's why I like this man called Julius Malema. If you take time to listen to his keynote address, the man has great information. The man has he said in London, USA, they are not, our salvation is not from them. You see, in Africa, we are trained to be servants. Sorry to admit that. So a young man or a young lady who made first class in first degree, second degree, first class. They are only thinking of their better job. They are training themselves to be placed in an environment or in a company where they will work and get higher salary. They are not training in a way where I want to innovate, I want to create job myself, I want to open a business, I want to run a company, I want to bring up an idea to run a company where government can fund me and I be a job creator. No. We hear, I don't want to mention them for some reason, we hear of a known businessman in Nigeria who once upon a time wanted PhD degree holders to come and drive his truck. Just few days ago, this TikTok boy, Pella, uneducated boy, I don't know if that news is true, that he's looking for master degree holder to be his PA or what. Imagine the insult. Making mockery of our academics, making mockery of our intellectuals. So we are trained in Africa to be servants. We are trained in Africa to be timid. A 22-year-old boy or girl in America is already planning on how to develop the new software, to build a new software that will take over the internet space, social media space. A 30-year-old young man or young woman in Europe or in America, he's already, they're already far. Look at the stories of those who have made it. Zuckerberg, these guys started early because they have enabling environment. What I think we should even fight to do or achieve in Africa is to create enabling environment. Africa has got it. Haven't you seen that so many Africans, I don't just want to say focus on Nigeria, so many Africans that travel to Europe, they are doing well because they have enabling environment. But in Africa, what most of us do is to frustrate those that are rising. They say you are so ambitious, you are too young to do this, you are too young to do that. But over there in Europe, in America, they are not, they are not frustrated. So I think this man has something that needs to be pushed throughout, the nooks and crannies of Africa. Presidents of Africa needs to, but the one I know I don't think I fully agree with is where he's proposing for one president, one currency, and one commander. It's going to, it's a good proposition, but it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be very, very difficult. It will breed dictatorship in Africa. So let's just keep that one aside and look towards making an Africa a heaven on earth. Making an Africa to, if not equal, to be better than other countries in Europe, in America. We have all it takes. We have the mineral resources. We have everything within us to make Africa great. I support what Malema said. Our salvation can't come from London, can't come from US, can't come from Europe or America. Our salvation lies in our own hands.